You first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk. What was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe. I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful and absolutely, she forgave his assassin, and I think that is admirable.
There we have Rob Reiner commenting on Charlie Kirk's assassination. This was from a couple months ago, shortly after Charlie Kirk's death. And as you can see, he's empathetic. He's saying things like, this should not happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are, your leanings. This is not right. What happened was a tragedy and horrifying. And if we compare this to what Trump had said, where he basically blamed Rob Reiner's death on him having Trump derangement syndrome, quote, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations, blah, 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 blah. Just what a stark contrast between the two. Mike, what do you think about the comments that we're hearing here from Rob Reiner just a couple months ago in regards to Charlie Kirk, contrasted with what Trump just posted earlier today?
It's nothing new that Trump is saying something despicable about somebody's death. He's notorious for making these kinds of vile statements. Rob Reiner, I don't really know him that well, but I think that his comments about Charlie Kirk are pretty universal. I would like to think. I know not everybody necessarily fully agrees with him, but I would say, like, the common decency thing is to just be like, look, a tragedy occurred. There was loss of life. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. We're all in this together. We should work together to solve our problems, things like that. Let's come together, unify, let's be humane to each other. Whereas with Trump, I mean, we don't even know if the son's motivation for killing his parents was politically driven, and I would strongly doubt that it is. But Trump just inserting himself in here and making it about himself and this golden era of America and whatnot, like it's so deranged and it's so out of touch and despicable. And so I'm not going to be surprised when there's plenty of backlash coming from that.
Yeah, and what we do know right now about the motives is him and his son, who's allegedly being charged with homicide of his parents. They had a patchy relationship, a rough relationship. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the strongest. His son suffered from drug abuse problems. He was also homeless for a little while. And so it doesn't look like any of this was politically motivated, nor should it be. I mean, it's like an internal family affair. It's just a horrible event that occurred. And I feel like Trump's message was kind of like an advertisement for TDS. Like, let me show the world what Trump derangement syndrome is, and everyone can learn about it and how we use it to make fun of people who are not Trump supporters. And to me, that's just like another level of just insanity and so out of touchness, and just the total lack of empathy is just off the charts. And finally, like Trump touting the golden era that we're in at the end of the speech there, again, like just an advertisement for himself, for his supposed achievements. The economy is in shambles right now. Jobs are non-existent. They're disappearing off the face of America. AI is destroying the job market, essentially. Trump's tariffs have nuked the farming industry, among others. They have caused so many startups and businesses to fail and to struggle to even get going because of the input costs of so many raw materials. Look at his policies with beef and soybeans, driving China, our trading partner, away. Buying beef from Argentina instead of boosting U.S. Beef production. It's just crazy. The economy is in such a bad shape right now. The only good indicator is the stock market, which is another actual bad example of how the economy is, because it shows the decoupling of how the stock market is at as record highs while everything else is bottoming out. It's just another bad sign of like dystopian times we're in. And then Trump just took this as an advantage to advertise his supposed great economy. It's just absolutely wild. And, Charlie Kirk had his fair share of, controversial statements. He was known to, say that guns are, it's just something we have to live with. Gun deaths are just a byproduct of, the Second Amendment. It sucks, but, we got to deal with it. And of course, he was a victim of gun violence. So it's just a sad series of events that we're seeing here, and Trump just taking this opportunity to make it about himself is really. We should be talking about the story in light of what a tragic event this is, and how this father, this husband, this great director and writer and famous person was brutally killed by his own son. Like, what a tragedy. We should be talking about that. But now the story is split between talking about the tragic event and diving into what's going on there. Can we learn from this? Can we be a better nation because of this? It's split between that and Trump being an absolute asshole about it and making it all about him and doubling down on his disgustingness and his lack of empathy. It's now that's also becoming its own story, and it shouldn't be this way. But unfortunately, that's the president of the United States. That's the man that this country elected. And, he's got the biggest megaphone in the world. And here he is just using it to make the world a worse place.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely right that we should be sitting here talking about the state of mental health and how we can improve mental health, how we can improve, family relationships or whatever. There's a lot to be talked about, a lot to sort of explore in terms of prevention for these kinds of tragedies. But at the same time, it's hard to ignore this disgusting comment from Trump, especially because it comes on the heels of the Charlie Kirk assassination, where if you so much as quoted Charlie Kirk, like Jimmy Kimmel and some of these other people, you'll lose your job for quoting the victim. Whereas here, Rob Reiner, I mean, you could quote him. He's been political, but obviously that's not why he was killed. But the point is simply by quoting Charlie Kirk, you get canceled, and on top of it, people are like, "Whoa, you can't make fun of this man. You can't joke about his death. You can't belittle this great American patriot." And it's but Trump gets a pass here, and MAGA hopefully doesn't go along with it. I know I mentioned backlash earlier, and I know there have been some critics from the right already. There's some comments in the Truth Social post thread, telling the president to take it down. There's people from Breitbart that are not thrilled with it. And there's, Thomas Massey came out against it, challenging the vice president as well as any of the White House staff to defend those comments. Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out against it, plus a plethora of Democrats, from Gavin Newsom to Whoopi Goldberg to, Chris Murphy, other critics as well. So at the end of the day, I think it just sucks that we can't have a leader who has the common decency of, if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. He can't even practice that, which is something that children are capable of doing. So it's reprehensible. It's inexcusable. And I think that if the right does not speak out against this, then, they have no room to, cry or complain about anything said about Charlie Kirk or anybody else, because this is a very clear double standard that's getting wider and wider as these snowflakes stay silent.
Yeah, I think Trump has been known to say a lot of disgusting things, and this might be up there in the top three. Like, it's very hard to think of like more depraved things any human can possibly say, and Trump just went ahead and did it. And he's been getting passes from the right all along in the 10 years that he's been involved in politics, as you mentioned. And I'm hoping now this could be a breaking point for a lot of people. You know, you did mention Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was kind of already at a breaking point with Trump over the Epstein files, but that's still nice to hear and see. Thomas Massie as well. He's been a champion for getting the Epstein files released. It's nice to see from him as well. I just hope more and more prominent Republicans do speak out and condemn this type of behavior, because it is, if this is not condemnable, what is? Like, we're just in wild, wild west. And as we learn and hear more, hopefully from people on the right, especially coming out and condemning this behavior, we'll keep you guys updated and posted, as well as ongoing investigations in this murder and homicide.